In this video, we'll practice a McKinsey case interview. This case is taken straight from their website, and I've included a link to it in the video description below. Remember, McKinsey case interviews are interviewer-led, so while we should proactively think about next steps and areas to look into, ultimately, the interviewer will be steering the direction of the case. Client goal. The Gates Foundation is a private organization with vast ambitions. One of its goals is to reduce extreme poverty worldwide. In this case study, the foundation asked McKinsey to design a basic financial services offering for inhabitants of remote communities in Mexico. Description of situation. The majority of Mexico's rural inhabitants are relatively poor, relying in part on government benefits for their livelihood. As they tend not to have bank accounts, they usually collect government benefits in cash from a limited number of state bank branches. These branches are often a long way from where the recipients live, so it can take a lot of time and effort for them to collect their benefits. In addition, traveling to the branches can sometimes expose benefit recipients to crime along the way. The Mexican government also owns and operates a chain of 22,000 stores throughout Mexico called Diconsa, which provide basic food, clothes, and other essential goods to the rural population. These stores are supplied via a network of central and regional warehouses and several thousand delivery trucks. McKinsey study. McKinsey has been asked to investigate and assess the possibility of using the Diconsa network to provide a basic set of financial services to supplement the limited number of state bank branches. The offer would start with dispensing government benefit payments and move progressively to include savings accounts, bill payment, insurance, credit, and other financial products. So here's how I would summarize the case. Our client is the Gates Foundation, who is looking to design a basic financial services offering for residents of rural Mexico. The majority of residents in these areas rely on government benefits for their livelihood and have to travel to state bank branches to collect their benefits, which takes time, effort, and exposes residents to crime. The case objective is to determine whether the Mexican government can leverage Diconsa, a chain of 22,000 stores, to provide benefit payments and other financial services. Let's move on to question 1. What should the team investigate to determine whether the Diconsa network could and should be leveraged to provide a range of basic financial services to Mexico's rural population? We can ask ourselves, what needs to be true in order for us to recommend leveraging the Diconsa network? So we might brainstorm some of the following ideas. The network can actually deliver benefit payments. Using the network saves residents time and effort. Using the network is safer, reducing crime rates. It would not be costly to set up and implement. Residents are willing to use the network, and there are no other better options. We can group these ideas into 4 statements that would need to be true for us to recommend Diconsa. The Diconsa network is capable of delivering benefits and other financial services. Leveraging the network satisfies the needs of residents. Leveraging the network also satisfies the needs of the government, and there are no other better options. After reorganizing our ideas into these 4 broad areas, we get the following framework. Residents' needs. Does leveraging the Diconsa network meet residents' needs? Are the stores close to the residents? Do residents trust these stores? And are the stores safer than traveling to state banks? Government's needs. Does leveraging the Diconsa network meet the government's needs? Will using these stores be inexpensive or save the government money? Will using these stores ensure all residents get their benefits? Diconsa's capabilities. Is the network capable of delivering benefits and other financial services? Can the infrastructure be set up to deliver residents' benefit payments? Can store employees be trained or hired to deliver financial services? Strategic alternatives. Are there other better options available? What other options are there? And are these options better than using Diconsa's network? Let's move on to question 2. The team has estimated that it currently costs a family 50 pesos per month in transportation and food to make the journey to collect their benefit payments. The team also estimates that if benefits were available for collection at local Diconsa stores, the cost would be reduced by 30%. 20% of Mexico's population is rural, and of this number, half currently receive state benefits. If all families could receive state benefits at their local Diconsa stores, how much in total per year would be saved across all Mexican rural families receiving state benefits? Your interviewer can provide you with the following information if requested. You can assume that Mexico has a population of 100 million, and you can also assume that families in Mexico have 4 members on average, and this does not differ by region. Let's not rush into calculating numbers right away. Instead, we'll lay out an approach first. So to solve this problem, we need to first calculate the number of families that collect benefit payments. We can get this by taking the population of Mexico, dividing it by the average household size to get the total number of families in Mexico. We can then multiply this by the percentage of the population that is rural and the percentage of these families that receive state benefits to get the number of families that collect benefits. Afterwards, if we multiply the number of families that collect benefits by the savings that leveraging DICONSA would provide per year per family, we will get our answer. So, Mexico has a population of 100 million and families have 4 members on average. This gives us 25 million families. 20% of Mexico's population is rural, so that is 5 million families. Half of these receive state benefits, so that is 2.5 million families. It typically costs a family 50 pesos per month to make the journey to collect their benefits, so that is 600 pesos per year. Leveraging DICONSA stores would reduce costs by 30% or a reduction of 180 pesos per year. Therefore, total annual savings is 2.5 million families times 180 pesos per year, or 450 million pesos. With this answer, we could ask the interviewer how much it would cost to set up and implement the strategy. We could then compare the cost of the program with the savings that it provides residents. We could also ask if our client is considering other options in order for us to compare this option's savings with that of other options. Basically, we don't really know whether 450 million pesos is a lot or a little, so we'd like to compare this number to some other kind of number to put it into context. Let's move on to question 3. The team conducted a survey on a sample of the rural population in 3 different regions of Mexico. These populations were given a number of statements about the concept of collecting their benefits at the nearest DICONSA store and asked how much they agree with each statement. The average response to some of the questions by region is shown below. What are your observations about this information and how would you explain these trends? So, we have different statements on the left-hand side. These include being happy to collect benefits, feeling secure, trusting, believing it will cost less, and believing it will be quicker. And on the top, we have the 3 different regions. The key tells us that the larger numbers mean that the population strongly agrees, while smaller numbers mean that the population strongly disagrees. Looking at the different statements, we observe that feeling secure about collecting benefits has the lowest score for all 3 regions. This is the biggest concern for residents, and we probably should focus on addressing these concerns if the program is to be successful. We also observe that believing it will be quicker to receive benefits is strongly agreed on for all regions. This is clearly the biggest perceived benefit for the population. In the previous question, we estimated that using DICONSA stores would save each family 180 pesos per year. In this data, it shows that only Region A agrees about cost savings, while B and C are more neutral on the subject. Let's look at the differences among regions next. One observation here is that there is quite a bit of difference among regions. Region B disagrees much more than the other regions on the statements about DICONSA stores. I would expect Region B to be the most resistant towards using DICONSA stores since they are neutral on 2 statements and disagree with 2 statements. On the other hand, Region A agrees much more than the other regions. They agree on 4 out of the 5 statements, with the remaining 1 being neutral. These residents are likely to be the most receptive towards using DICONSA stores. Finally, Region C's population falls in between Region A and Region B's sentiments. So in summary, we have the following 3 takeaways. 1. Feeling secure about collecting benefits is the most prevalent concern for all regions. We should focus on addressing this. 2. Currently, the major perceived value proposition of the program is saving residents time, so we should make sure that we deliver on this. 3. Region A has the most favorable views on the program, while Region B has the most negative views. It may make sense to prioritize rolling out the program in Region A, since they would be the most likely to participate and realize the cost savings. Let's move on to question 4. In a meeting with representatives of the state bank, they expressed concern about how challenging it will be to offer basic financial products to the rural population. One of the representatives mentions that these are regions where people are poorly educated and unfamiliar with banking products, and where there is a high degree of crime and fraud. He asked for the team's thoughts about how the bank could sell these services effectively to this population given the challenges. There are 2 key challenges outlined. 1, there is poor education and unfamiliarity with banking products, and 2, there is a high degree of crime and fraud. To give our answer a bit more structure, We can structure our answers into short-term and long-term solutions. For the first challenge, short-term solutions include arranging in-store demonstrations and teaching sessions and running promotions to incentivize residents to sign up for basic banking products. Long-term solutions include adding personal finance to the school education curriculum and partnering with companies and organizations to require residents to use banking products for day-to-day purchases. For the second challenge, short-term solutions include increasing security guards at stores and limiting the amount of cash that can be transferred. Long-term solutions include investing in technology to reduce fraud and setting new laws that increases the severity for punishments for crimes relating to fraud. So that is the last question of the case. This case did not ask for a final recommendation, and this actually happens a decent amount of times in interviews. If there is not enough time, or if the case abruptly jumps between various unrelated areas, the interviewer may not ask you for a recommendation. Also, sometimes if you do extraordinarily well in your case, the interviewer will not ask for a recommendation, but instead spend the time just chatting with you. If we were asked about a recommendation, it may sound something like the following. I recommend that our client leverage DICONSA's network to distribute benefits to residents, focusing on launching in Region A first. There are 3 reasons that support this. 1. Leveraging DICONSA's network would save families a total of 450 million pesos per year. 2. It would save families time. All regions believe this to be true. 3. Region A has the most favorable sentiment towards using DICONSA stores. Therefore, it makes sense to first launch in this region since its residents will be the most likely to participate. For next steps, there are 2 areas I'd want to look into. 1. Look into how we can improve perceptions of security in using DICONSA stores. This was the lowest scoring quality among all regions. 2. Look into how we can increase adoption of this program. We will need to solve how to increase education for financial services and how to overcome fraud. If you found this case helpful, please give this video a like to support the channel. Also, check out the other videos on this channel that have full case interviews from other firms such as BCG and Bain.